Good morning. I want to wish a very, very good morning to everyone that has tuned in, everyone that is going to watch us, everyone who will be listening to us. This broadcast that we have termed discouraged, disappointed, but not discouraged. Let me say that again. Disappointed, but not discouraged. And then, as a secondary headline, Journey About Business in Ghana. This is part 3 in the series of broadcasts that we are putting everywhere throughout the world for the people in Ghana, rest of Africa, the United States, the UK, Asia, everywhere. I want to make sure that I have said a very good morning to everyone, and thank you for being here. Thank you for watching us. I am doing this broadcast from my hometown, Elmina, Edna, as some people know it. And as we do usually, let's begin with one of our most favorite quotations. And so some of you who have known us, let me show you. I have prepared a pamphlet that is called A Foundation Based on Faith. Anyone who will send me their email address in the comment, I will send you a soft copy of this. And what is in this? I have selected verses from the Holy Bible that I believe have something to do with business. And we call this a foundation based on faith, which is one of those reasons why for everything that we begin, we're using some of the selected verses. And today, Jeremiah 29:11, as we always do, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future. And we in 2 Timothy also, we say, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. And again, I want to thank the thousands of people who have watched and listened to the previous broadcasts live on radio, TV, and social media. Thanks to the many who have shared the videos and audios, and those who have listened to those audios and watched the videos. I'm thanking you all because this has generated some healthy discussions. Sometimes those discussions I hear have been quite heated, and sometimes there have been arguments. Some people don't take the time needed to listen carefully to understand the points that I have been making. But nevertheless, I'm grateful for the interest the broadcasts has been generating. And as President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said in January 2017, we must be citizens, not spectators. So understand that Papa Kwesi Indom here today is exercising his rights of citizenship. Some people have complained that they have heard their names mentioned in previous broadcasts or referred to in one form or the other. Look, it is very difficult for me to do a credible presentation without every now and then referring to certain people, certain offices, certain organizations. And so if you hear your name, it is definitely not because I'm trying to do something very personal against somebody, but I must explain what has happened. I must explain what is going on. And so it is important to go through and do all of that. As I said the last week, let me say that again today, that when I am talking like this on a day like today, I want people to know and understand that I am not perfect. My businesses are not perfect. My management people, our employees are not perfect. We are human. We are human. So we do make mistakes. The difference, I believe, is that when we make mistakes, we put them on the table. We don't hide them. We work on them and we try to solve the problems that we have created, try to remove the challenges that are in our way. So no, I'm not sitting here talking as if I haven't done anything wrong. There are some things that have gone wrong and we've tried to fix them. And I've said to some people that, look, when these problems came, we went all over looking for resources to resolve some of the financial difficulties, thinking that they would be short-term in duration, that they wouldn't lead to the cessation of businesses or practices or employment. And so I believe I said this either the previous broadcast or so, we actually paid back to some of the former Gold Coast Fund Management, now Black Shield customers, over 600 million Ghana cedis. We took from our resources some of the apartments that we had built in Accra, and we did barter with them. Some of the televisions that we had assembled in Elmina, some of the refrigerators that we had assembled in Elmina, some vehicles that we did barter. We did all manner of things to try to stem the tide of the difficulties and the challenges. But it was huge. It was huge because the solution that we were looking for, which would have come from government agencies, those ones did not come. But we worked hard to resolve it. And I went to the United States and borrowed seven-figure sums to come and try and pay some people. And some of our, sometimes now former business associates, now former friends, now people that we used to do business and personal things with, came at us aggressively, really very aggressively, wouldn't listen, wouldn't hear anything, and just descended on us and said, you don't pay us, we'll take you here, we'll take you there, we'll do all sorts of things. Well, we went through all of that to get to where we are. And where we are is why I am trying to let everybody understand what has happened, where we are, what we're doing. So let me begin. And once again, I have got plenty of documents, plenty of documentary evidence, all sorts of stuff here, which I will introduce, because just talking without showing some examples of what I'm talking about, it wouldn't help anybody. Because I believe what we're doing here, that people listen, people hear us, people watch us, that they not only understand what has happened, but that it might help somebody prevent this situation from reoccurring, or from someone doing what has been done to us to other people. And so let me say something. If we want our economy to grow, even to be fixed and then to grow, we need jobs. It is the private sector that will bring the jobs that lasts, because we have seen in a number of circumstances, a few years, that, government has started this scheme, that scheme, here and there. And then a year goes by and it's gone. 2 years is gone. The government goes out of power, those jobs are gone. Permanent jobs, jobs that last, only come from the private sector. And government cannot pay tax to itself. It is the private sector that has to work, and pay the tax needed to run government and invest in infrastructure. So when a business is killed, is dissolved, especially those that are producing, paying tax, when they are gone, payroll taxes are not there, government suffers, the economy suffers. And so I keep saying, before we take a decision to take somebody's license, before we take a decision to remove a company, dissolve it, we must think carefully and not act in haste. Not act in haste. And those examples, some of those examples that have been given, involved hasty decisions. Some people were in a hurry to get certain things done. And for decades, I have made the point continuously that it is tough to start and run a successful business in a developing country such as Ghana. And therefore, government administrations that come and the entire public sector must adopt the attitude of, we help businesses grow and develop. And when problems are found, to develop the culture of helping to resolve them, solve them, and not be quick to condemn or be like police officers or military officers and just go with force and not just condemn, but even worse, to destroy and shut them down. So important point, jobs. That's what we need, and that's what I'm talking about today, jobs, and what has been done to some of those jobs that no longer exist today. Our point has been that a legitimate indigenous Ghanaian conglomerate called Group Indo, that had taken decades to grow and develop, was deliberately and maliciously marked for destruction. Let me say it again. It was deliberately and maliciously marked for destruction to meet the political needs of a few people and serve the business interests of an even smaller number of people. And you hear that one of the points I'll make here today is that some businesses weren't just collapsed. Some businesses were collapsed, and some of their assets, some of their customers, some of the funds that they managed were taken and given to other people. And I'll be making the point that when they were taken and given to the other people, those who gave them to other people didn't go through any competitive or any process that then came up with the best people to take those businesses and go and run them. They were given to other people. I helped. It took us several years to start what we call the Gold Fund Unit Trust. The Gold Fund Unit Trust. And we started that Gold Fund Unit Trust before the data bank EPAC got started. But we were told by the then Bank of Ghana that they didn't have the process of licensing these kinds of funds, unit trusts, mutual funds, and all that. So we should hold on until that process was put in place to get a license, to be licensed. EPAC didn't do that, didn't wait. They started EPAC and they got going. Those of us who follow the rules, the regulation, we waited. We waited for years. When it was possible to license a unit trust in Ghana, we went through the proper legal channels to get it done. And when we got ours done, we called one of those funds the Gold Fund Unit Trust. So for decades, that Gold Fund Unit Trust had been working up until today. But we were told in 2019, you can't run this any longer because we have taken your license away. So what happened? That Gold Fund Unit Trust is now being run by another fund manager. How did that fund manager get that Gold Fund Unit Trust to manage? Did the Securities and Exchange Commission go through a competitive tender or some review like that? No. And recently, those people who had become beneficiaries of the Gold Fund were at an annual general meeting looking to change the objects of the fund, even trying to change the name of the fund, something they have become beneficiaries of but did not start it. And then there is the trustee who's also behaving as if the fund is theirs, that they have started it. We registered that company that went and got that license and started the fund. And at some point, we will revisit this matter because that bank or its related organization that says that they are the trustees of the Gold Fund Unit Trust and are acting as if it belongs to them. A time will come, we will show up and demand what is ours. And those people who are running it also should know that someone can't go and sweat. Someone can't go and think. Someone can't go and sacrifice and do some things. And then you just come and just become a beneficiary without even acknowledging the owners, the people who have started that fund. I will give you a couple more comprehensive example of something like that also in the financial sector. And in this world, you have to work before you eat. Okay, you don't let someone go and work, create something, and then you come and grab it and go and take it because somebody with political power has said, oh, these people, they are no longer good. You take it and go and run it as if it is your own. So again, the point I am trying to make is this, that you can't take a legitimate indigenous business enterprise in a place like Ghana, in a developing economy like Ghana, and sort of push the people aside, take their business without sitting down and thinking deeply, involving yourself in some deep thoughts, discussions, examinations. Don't think about what would happen to somebody like Papa Kwesindo, but all of those other people whose labor had gone into it and who actually labor within that organization for their living. You don't do that to people, especially if you've been given political power. You don't do that. You definitely don't do it. And for the general population, sometimes I've been sitting sad, very sad, thinking about some of those people who came to harass us when some of the challenges came with GN Bank, with Gold Coast Fund Management, with Black Shield, and the way they attacked us personally, the way they were even looking for us physically. People we had known for years, people who had benefited, that we had invested their funds, and they had gotten, some of them, what was left there, even if it was a lot of money, some of them had gotten twice what they had originally put to us. But then the venom with which some of them came after us, after my family, and so on, it was just amazing. And many of those people, they see us today. They see us, and some of them hide. Because after all of that, they can't come, some of them, they can't come and say hello. They can't come and talk. They can't come and establish the same kinds of relationships that we had before, because they know sort of the venom, the hatred in their eyes and whatever that they had looked at us with. So, some people only saw the end result. The end results were liquidity challenges, inability to pay tax, or GRA is after us, to pay pension, and so SNIT was after us, even to meet payroll. And people were saying, you owe us back pay. Factories, many of our factories were closed, and which led to unemployment. But you see, they couldn't see the conspiracy. I'm saying that again, it was a conspiracy. The conspiracy that I also think that the man at the top, you know who I'm talking about. I don't think that the man at the top opened his eyes wide enough. He didn't open his eyes wide enough to see the conspiracy there that took a vibrant organization like Group Indo and to try to scatter it, and so he didn't see it. I don't know whether he refused to see it, or some people made it impossible for him to see it, or he was just there himself. That I can't say. But my point is that some people designed this, who were close to the man at the top, orchestrated some of this and made it impossible for anyone to see what the end game that they were playing for. And I also know that the cabinet, in the first term of President Nana Akufo-Addo, was asked to make certain decisions that compromise the independence of the central bank and the financial sector. Because if indeed Bank of Ghana is independent, why would somebody take a matter of closing banks and financial institutions or whatever to cabinet, for cabinet to vote on it, to argue over it, vote on it, and then what? If cabinet says, don't close this or close that one, how would a governor of a Bank of Ghana that's appointed by the same executive, how could he refuse? How could he refuse to say no and say that I wouldn't do it? I would not do it. What would happen to him? So the cabinet, I don't believe, saw the implications of their actions on jobs and the overall economy. If that had been done, I don't believe some of those decisions that were made would have been carried through. And I've said it a number of times, that former president, the late Atta Mills, he had been asked by some people to take Data Bank to task and collapse that company that was founded by the former finance minister and his colleagues. And what did he say? Former President Atta Mills said, look, I'm not worried about Ken Ofori-Atta. Who I am worried about are the employees of Data Bank, their families, and those who had put their monies into Data Bank. So if you're asking me to prosecute, if you're asking me to do things that would lead to the collapse of that Data Bank, that I wouldn't do it. And he didn't do it. I respect him for that. Always have respected him for that. That's why I keep repeating it. I keep repeating it. So if someone ignores something like that and says, oh, it's Indom's company, he's not one of us, and so let's collapse it. Atta Mills didn't do that. He did not do that. And so I am saying, also making the point, that the economy of Ghana was destroyed by the actions of a handful of people who controlled the financial and investment sector. Again, the Ghanaian economy was destroyed by the actions of a handful of people who control the financial and investment sector. And the leader, the one who led this, and is still the same one who is behind there, as if he's not there, that man is Kenneth Kuntum Kununku Ofori-Atta. If he disagrees, let him come to the public and say, no, it wasn't me. It was somebody else. Who led this? It's him. And me, I'm saying it straight. He is the one the president trusted to raise money for his campaigns, and then when they want power, to run the economy. And this has proven the old adage that it is not necessarily those who help bring you to power who make you successful when you get there. And I believe that the president has regretted the decision that he made to put our economy in the hands of the investment analysts who became the finance minister, Mr. Ofori-Atta. And I'm also making the point that once you set the train of destruction on the tracks, you get the engine going, the collateral damage can be huge. Stopping a fast-moving, strong train is difficult. And in Ghana, the financial sector was set on a path of destruction that required criminalizing the owners, the shareholders, the entrepreneurs, the directors, soiling reputations in a so-called attempt to consolidate, create big banks capable of making big deals, and in the process, punish political opponents and business competitors. Saying it as it is. This is how I've seen it. I don't know how you've seen it, but this is how I have seen it. And that, so if we're going to collapse Papa Kwesi Indom's bank, and we know we don't have a legitimate reason, then we create one that he collected some $60 million and illegally transferred them to the United States. Or they did this, they did that, without digging into the facts of the matter, so that the people out there can say, hey, so all this time, this is what the man had been doing. Oh, okay, then if his bank is collapsed, then he deserves it. So, as some people say, you give something a bad name so you can hang it. It's not anything new. So that's a point that I'm making. And so in an unprecedented move, the bar for banks was set so high, so that local investors, to make it impossible for local people in the industry to raise that sort of money. The 400 million Ghana cedis never happened before. No, unprecedented. To move it straight from 120 million, whatever, to 400 million, knowing that people would find it difficult. And who would the people who would find it difficult? The indigenous people, that they will find it difficult. And for some people who nothing could be found against, well, they said they were not fit for purpose. And for some of us who they knew had money with government agencies, they just said, oh, as for we at Bank of Ghana, we don't know anything about what is owed by anybody. All we know is the situation as it is on the ground. And for some of the politicians, they said, no, all that we are concerned about is there's agitation. People are agitating for their monies, and they can't pay them what some judge said, paltry sums of money to. So let's collapse it. Let's collapse it. In a country like Ghana, a poor country like Ghana, with an investment like that made into GN Bank with 300 branches all over the country, You don't just get up and make those kinds of decisions and walk away, which is what has been done. I'll show you the impact of walking away, doing something and just walking away. So look, I am saying that 400 million bar, we walked around the world with others, some of them related to government, this administration. We went all over the place, the UK, to Asia, America, whatever, to look for money. And nobody was interested in giving big monies for anybody to go and recapitalize a bank in Ghana. You'll find out how many of the banks that exist today went and raised any significant sums of money to recapitalize. Many of them, they restructured their balance sheet. You know, they did all manner of other things in order to be able to say that we have met the capital. And otherwise, then those foreign-owned banks, yes, their mothers and fathers and grandfathers and whatever elsewhere brought them some money. But other than that, I know that the people who did this knew that it was nearly impossible to go and raise money from somewhere to bring it to Ghana. And then those of us who had monies in the hands of government and its agencies, they said, let's sit on them. Don't pay any money to these people so that they can continue to have problems, challenges, and then they are no longer banks. You don't do that to your people. You don't do that to your people. Not in a country like Ghana. And I'm hoping that we've learned from those hasty decisions and that nobody will come back again in this country and do something that had happened in 2017, 2018, 2019. We shouldn't do that. But then now, having recognized the negative impact of those decisions, however, I think that some people thought that, oh, if we only have a few banks in Ghana, and they are big banks, and they are quote unquote well capitalized, then a lot of business activities will happen. Well, did it happen? Has it happened? What is happening to some of the banks? And many of those banks are wobbling today, looking for money, looking for liquidity. So, as the Fantis will say, what happened? What happened? And so, look, I am saying, therefore, that the destruction of the Ghanaian economy started with the decisions made at the instance of the finance ministry not to honor payment certificates for contractors, government contractors, and the decision to cleanse, quote unquote, the financial sector of entrepreneurs they did not like or want. So, what am I saying also? It wasn't COVID. It wasn't the war in Ukraine. It started before those things came. It started with the decisions made in 2017, 2018, 2019. Therefore, if a new administration comes, my recommendation is revisit that situation so that you encourage Ghanaian entrepreneurs, indigenous people to re-enter the financial and investment sector, but strengthened, and resolving to use government's purchasing power and other things to help them to build, to grow, and take over, as somebody might say, the commanding heights of this economy. Because it is not, energy, yes, infrastructure, yes, other things, yes, manufacturing, yes, but the financial sector, that is the one that provides the fertilizer. Sometimes it provides the seeds even, that provides the water and other things to make businesses grow and jobs to be created. If that's not in the hands of your indigenous people, your economy suffers, as our economy has been suffering. So if you see some shiny something that somebody has come from China to do, some shiny something that someone's come from America to do in Ghana, some shiny big something that someone has come from France to do, someday, whether it is from Lebanon, from wherever, that thing, you may wake up and it's no longer there. But if it is there and it's thriving, it is your money and it's your jobs that are walking away to other lands. And you've done it willingly by collapsing your own. That's what I'm hoping somebody will come and say that, oh, something was done back then. It didn't work. So let us not go and repeat it. Maybe let's find those that were affected and let's learn from their experience. At least let them account for what is it that happened, what is it that they would wish that we do differently. And for the present administration, I'm also saying, yes, we only have a few weeks, a few months to go. It's never too late to change your mind about certain things. Where the damage could have been prevented, go back and resolve the problems, negotiate, fix the problem, and let's get the economy, let's get the banks and the financial institutions and other things, let's get them working. Let's get them working. And so, look, why did I say the name Mr. Kenneth Kuntun Kununku Ofori-Atta? Why do I keep repeating Ministry of Finance? Why do I keep bringing in people in that sector? Let me show you how widespread the influence has been. You find out that the people you will find at Bank of Ghana, National Insurance Commission, National Pensions Regulatory Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, GRA, SNET, Cocoa Board, and many others. There is some interrelationships there. And you draw many of them to one person, even today, to one person, the same man. So where did the head of Securities and Exchange Commission come from? Where did he come from? Where did some of the people there come from? Where did some of the people at MPRA, who appointed them? Who recommended them? Who recommended the people who are at Bank of Ghana and others? Who? But then there's a systemic problem which needs to be changed, and I hope the next administration works on it. You cannot say that the governor of the central bank is independent, and yet you put that governor on the board of Cocoa Board. Somebody who should be sitting somewhere in some office way away from other people, independent. Why put him there at Cocoa Board? Why put a deputy minister of finance on the board of Bank of Ghana? How? Would it happen in America or in the UK? Then you put the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission. You put him there at MPRA, the Pensions Regulatory Authority, as a board member. Then you join him with the Deputy Governor of Bank of Ghana, also there. Then you put a Deputy Attorney General at MPRA. All of these people that are related in the administration, on the exec side of the executive. So you'll find them here and there repeating at SEC, at MPRA, at BOG, at Cocoa Board, and all of, where is the independence? So when somebody at one of these places is doing something to you, you go another place, they are sitting there again, waiting for you. Say, hey, these people, we did this, they did this at SEC, and this is what we did to them. And what are they doing here? Or Cocoa Board that owes a lot of money to people that we had financed. And the Bank of Ghana governor sits there, then goes back, receives something from a deputy finance minister that, oh, the money is small. And so license is pulled. I'm saying that that is a systemic issue that needs to be resolved. If we're going to have directors for some of these regulatory agencies, let's make them independent. Let's not pack those places with government appointees who are already heading and being part of the leadership of other regulatory agencies. Then you add some also politically connected people there. Then if I appear before any one of those people, I'm done for. If somebody on the top says, anytime you see Indom, don't mind him. If he has money with you, oh, don't give it to him. We don't want to strengthen him to come and do us some damage. We want our businesses to grow. So stop him. So even if that is not there, just look at the coloring, the perception. What has been happening? And I hope people understand this. It's not just me. I'm only using my experience and what has happened to me to say to people, look, let's examine some of these things. Okay? And some of this one that I was talking about in terms of the governor being here, deputy governor being there, director general of SEC being somewhere else, and other people all being in some of the same places. And then you will find some of the same people. That person may be a director at SEC. It's not a government appointee, government person, but is also serving somewhere else, maybe MPRA or SNIT or whatever, same circles. How do you grow an economy like that when the independence is not guaranteed or is not there? So we have some changes to make beyond the problems that some of our businesses encountered. There are systemic problems that must be confronted and changed so that at least the perception of bias, the perception of people being targeted, the perception of some people using political and some other reasons to do somebody in that. So at least that perception can either go down significantly or go away completely. So that if I'm putting my money into something, I know that if I run into some difficulty, then I might be able to get a good hearing. To get a good hearing. Now, let me show you some examples. You see, this is a letter from the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. There are several of them. October 2020, December 2023, several of them. August 2022, a whole bunch of them. I've got them here. This one, also December 2023. Now, what I'm saying is this. When you are in a system like Ghana, you take your time before you tag somebody or before you accuse someone and before you run something through that, hey, these people, they have deliberately done something wrong. We told them not to do it. Or when we found out, we told them, do this, do that, correct this, correct that, give them good time to resolve and help them to get it taken care of before you take some harsh, very, very harsh actions that you know will not, they can't recover from. So the example I want to show here is that the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, under the leadership of Mr. Hayford Attackroffy. And Mr. Hayford Attackroffy, I'm not going to give you his background. If you just check, you will know. You know how he came to Ghana from the UK and his antecedents and all of it. So I don't begrudge him that he was made the chief executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority. I know him, I know his son, I know other people. But what does orders from above have to do with anything? If you look at a number of these things that I have shown to you, from 2020 going, the word was that our pensions company, pensions trustee, licensed before this current administration came into power. The accusation when after GN Bank lost its license, and they were looking for money, our pensions company was looking for money to pay even our own employees who had monies in one of the master schemes, Tier 2 and also Tier 3 pensions scheme. Somebody all of a sudden then came and said, oh, this is a Group Indom fund. So Group Indom has gone and illegally withdrawn money from that pension fund. From that pension fund, and we're talking something around 13 million Ghana cedis. Now, when you say somebody, the employer, which is Group Indom, has gone to withdraw money from a pension fund, what understanding do you get immediately, just after me saying this? That someone has reached into it, gone and collected that money. What would you think they did with it? That they collected it to go and chop it, eat it, spend it. So those words, illegally withdrawn monies, does it sound familiar? Going through all of these letters from 2020 up until now, and under good circumstances, what somebody might do is to say, oh, we have heard that some monies had been moved from the pension fund. Under what circumstance? What happened? Where is the money? And so on and so forth. No such thing. They were in a hurry. Oh, they have illegally withdrew money. And so we must, give them 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. They should bring the money back. Or we do all sorts of things. And in one of these letters, Yimpa Bro, in one of these letters, it says, failing any of the above, the authority shall take steps to revoke the license and resort to prosecution of all the individuals involved or any other administrative remedies. What they weren't saying was that they had already frozen and removed the license. This was in 2023. 2023. Hey, NPRA. But what happened? Yes, monies were moved from one bank to another. So if you say that, oh, it was moved from one bank to another, which bank was it moved to? GN Bank. Is the money there or not? Yes, the money was there when the bank's license was taken. it meant the money remained with the receiver. And as I sit here today, you can ask the question, has the money been paid by the receiver? Yes. Yes. The money has been paid by the receiver. Part of the money was paid to GRA, and I think that it was paid to GRA by mistake. Now, if money has gone to GRA, a government agency, and GRA is refusing to pay that money back, and they are resorting to court action to get GRA to pay, now you understand. It's not an easy matter of going to say somebody had just come and withdrawn. It didn't happen like that. But the people were in a hurry to hang us with something. And so even if somebody had made some error, some mistake, you put a hammer to people's heads and say, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to stop you. And if you don't stop screaming, I will prosecute you. Is that how we run an economy like this? And I'm saying to you, even though some of those people were walking around claiming that, oh, order from above, order from above, order from above, where? Where? Which above? Who above? And they are still hiding this thing, these problems. They are still hiding them. But that's not even, for me, the worst part of it. After 2020, then they said, oh, we are not renewing your license. And because we're not renewing your license, your tier 2, the fund that you are running, tier 2 fund, back then, it had 30 million Ghana cedis in it. Today, it has 60 million Ghana cedis today. What did MPRA do? MPRA took, commanded our pension company to give that fund to another company. What's the name of that company? It's called NBC. NBC. I'm not going to mention the names of the people that were involved because you go and check. NBC. So it was not just that. It was not just that. Tier 3, the Tier 3 fund that had about more than 8 million Ghana cedis at that time. Also, directive from MPRA, give it to NBC. And at some point, when these problems were going on, even our own company said, oh, we know the people at Glyco. If you want us to temporarily give that scheme to somebody, let's go and park it at Glyco. And then when these matters are resolved, then it comes back to us. No. MPRA wrote a letter saying, no, you can't do that. You can't give it to Glyco. Then they wrote another letter saying, give it to NBC. And then at some point, when we went to complain to people above, then they came and said, oh, no. We didn't take the fund from them. We thought, and this was a mutual agreement. Listen to this, mutual agreement to go and give the fund to NBC. Mutual from where? Mutual agreement with whom? And here is a letter from the NBC people. This one says NBC, Ghana Trust, August 2022. Acknowledging the receipt of a letter that was sent to them by the Chief Executive Officer of MPRA, appointing them as the administrator and trustee for Group Indom Tier 3 Provident Fund Scheme. Where is the mutual agreement? Where is the mutual agreement? And then another one, also acknowledging that they have been appointed to run the other scheme. And sometimes when we talk about the interest that is due on the infrastructure projects that are sitting there. People tell us that, but a lot of these things, they're just interest. It's just interest. But here is a letter from NPRA saying, and when they were thinking that the receiver wouldn't pay the money, you know what they said? They said that money that is stuck there, okay, you are going to pay interests on it to our pensions company. You are going to pay interest, and interest in interest based on what? They said that they were using the annual average 91-day treasury bill rate, compounded monthly. This is a government agency. How wicked can you be when you know that the money, if all that they did is just do a little check, that the money was with the receiver, and that if you check, you will know that the money would be paid. And then they brought the investigative agencies of the state, I don't want to mention their name here, to also go and investigate. And they must have done something wrong. They must have breached something, whatever. In the end, the money has been paid by the receiver, but the fund is still sitting with somebody else. And the license frozen. And we've talked and talked and talked and talked and talked and written all sorts of petitions. So when I say something like this, somebody is going to go out there and say, this Parkwesi Ndokra, why? Why is he in public saying all this? He's mentioning people's names and so on and so forth. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do after all of what we have tried to do to resolve these difficulties? What do you want me to do? Where else do you want me to go? Now, I see that my time is almost up. That 1 hour that I had set is almost up. Because I was going to move to something else. But before I leave, as the other time, somebody asked and has been asking, well, if you say that the government owes, but you give the contracts, you give contractors money, you signed agreements with them, why aren't you after the contractors? First of all, we are and have been after the contractors. We've taken many of them even to court, but joined the state agencies involved. Join them. But also, note that we have our documents, contractual documents, that join the agencies, the contractors, and ourselves. Because the agencies have to agree that, yeah, you are giving the money, and that whenever you are going to pay the money, you pay it to our joint names, so that nothing happens that's untoward. So we are joined. So nobody should sit somewhere and say, why are you bothering government? Government had accepted that responsibility. Government had accepted that responsibility. And I'll tell you, somebody asked me, so today, what is the impact of, what has been the loss? I'm telling you today that what we have lost is over $1 billion US dollars, not old Ghana cedis or Ghana cedis today. Just the receivable from government and its agencies alone with interest today is about 8 billion Ghana cedis. And then other destructions that have occurred, you put them together, it's over $1 billion US dollars. How do we resolve it? But we have always been open, saying, let's sit down, let's figure a good way to resolve this. But resolve it in a way that the jobs will come back, that the businesses will come back. And thankfully, Some of our businesses are coming back and have started to work because we've gone to borrow monies from here and there to push into the businesses, because Papa Kwesi Ntom is not going anywhere. I don't have anything else to do now but to work and work hard to bring back these businesses. Next week on Monday, I'll be going through Woolensey. You know, I like that little town, Woolensey, or village. It's one of the first places that we went to outside of Accra in the south to build from scratch a branch for, at that time, First National, and it became GN Bank. I'm going to go sit there and take a picture again on Monday, and I'll show it to everybody. It's still there. It is still there. And I'm waiting for an opportunity still to sit down with somebody. Let's resolve these matters. Let's move on. And let's move on in a way that jobs will come back. That's all I am looking for. And then if you haven't heard me, on December 2nd in Elmina, it's a Monday, December 2nd, we are going to hold a rally. Not a political rally, a business rally. I want to thank the people of Elmina for what they did for me in 2019 when they went on demonstration on my behalf to say to government and everybody else, let's save the Group Indom businesses. When I come to Elmina, which is why I decided to do this here in Elmina, the people know, they appreciate the fact that we have jobs here. And I'm telling you, one of those factories that we have reopened in Elmina, that does take away packages. I was just there yesterday. It is running. It is running so much that I believe in December, that business is not just going to do the first shift, that is in the morning. They are now going to run a second shift. A second shift, which means that some 24-hour operation is going to happen at the industrial estate in Elmina. Not by government, not by any political, whatever, but individual enterprise. Which, when that happens, it means that that small factory alone is now going to employ 40 people, 40, who didn't exist. Who didn't exist. This is what we want. This is what I want. That's what private sector should do. This is what this administration that is still here should work on to restore some of these things, because it means something powerful, something meaningful for people. For people. It is necessary. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. I'm not wearing any political colors here. These are colors of GN Bank. Bring them back. And look, we went and took, if you want to know the extent of destruction, there was a vehicle parked in front of the Mankesim big building that is sitting there. A Ford, one of those Ford 4x4 vehicles, Ford Explorer. It was rotting away. We towed it to Accra. We have spent 50,000 Ghana cedis on that one vehicle to bring it back to life. So let's say if you multiply 50,000 by even 100 vehicles, 200 vehicles, what does that tell you? What is the kind of destruction have we done to assets? But we just want the matter resolved. So let's find a way to resolve it. If you know people in power today, tell them, let's resolve this. And let's bring back the businesses and jobs. And jobs. And the next administration, people who come, if you know them, also tell them that, look, let's talk to people like Papa Kwesi Ntom. Let's make sure that businesses and jobs are restored. That's all I am looking for. That's all I am looking for, nothing else. And the next time I didn't get a chance to show you some of the things that I have sitting here. See, there's this thing here. What does this say? It says, the state of GN Bank assets. The state of GN Bank. We've even done a booklet with it. Next time, I will show you. I will show them to you. We'll go through, we'll have another discussion. So once again, I thank you for listening to me, watching this broadcast, spending a bit of time this morning with me. And I hope that you've understood some of the messages that we've been trying to cut across. I don't mean to throw dirt on anyone unnecessarily. I've had to, mention some names in order to make a point, in order for people to understand what is it that I'm trying to say. But all I want is, I want the jobs back. I want those companies back. Too many young people without jobs. It's all about jobs and jobs and jobs. So I thank you for being with me this morning. Whatever it is that you're doing, oh, may God bless it for you. May the Lord protect your enterprise, push you to do something wonderful so that other people can benefit from your enterprise. And those of you in responsible positions where you can help our enterprises grow, do just that. Push somebody forward. Use the state's purchasing power and authority to increase someone's enterprise. May God bless each and every one of us. Thank you once again.